Okay, let's look at different symbols that we often see in algebra. So we've got the basic operation symbols of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. A lot of this is consistent, with what you've probably already learned. The one thing that I would like to note that might be a little bit of a difference is that not only do we use kind of looks like a lowercase x to denote multiplication, but you may also see a black dot um, used to show multiplication. So you might see something like this, and that would be kind of constant j times constant k. Or you might not see anything at all. So you might see two, like a coefficient with a variable together, something like that. Or you might see two numbers written in parentheses next to each other like that. There's no symbol in between them to kind of tell you what you're supposed to do. But when you see them side by side, that's kind of what we called like implied or inferred multiplication. The typical multiplication symbol, or I'm sorry, division symbol is this one, horizontal line with two dots, but you may see a forward slash used instead for to denote division. So you might see something like that, something maybe written 3/8 to denote 3 divided by 8. Next, we have the inequality symbols. So we've got not equal to, less than or equal to, greater than, and greater than and equal to. And on the right-hand column, are some examples of how they're used. And next, we've got grouping symbols, which are really important to recognize. There are three types of grouping symbols that are most oftenly used, and they are parentheses, brackets, and braces. So you'll see the first row here is parentheses. So we've got a left and a right parentheses. And here on the example, you can see where you've got a left parentheses and a right parentheses used. Brackets. So brackets, here in this example are being used here and here. All right, and parentheses are being used inside the brackets. And then finally, we have braces, and you can see there's a left brace here and a right brace there. And then there's brackets, used inside of the braces there and there, with parentheses being used inside of those there and there. And the reason why I highlighted those is to show you that grouping symbols are always used in pairs. So there'll always be a left parentheses, and then it'll be followed by a right parentheses, a left bracket and a right bracket, a left brace and a right brace. And notice how they're used here. So, when we look at the second example, okay, this one right here, you'll notice that the parentheses are used together, left and right, okay, but they're used together without anything within them, without another grouping symbol within them. So let me see. So what I mean by that is we do not have a situation like this. Okay, let me write. It's not letting me write. Okay, so 21 minus 3, bracket 2 plus 8. Okay, here's our left parentheses, 14. And then we don't have maybe a right bracket and then a right brace, or I'm sorry, right parentheses like this. So notice we have this grouping symbol kind of alone and by itself inside a matching pair of grouping symbols. Okay, this you'll never see and you'll never write it this way. You can add grouping symbols as a succession of layers. So the way I like to think about it is kind of like layers of an onion, where you have an inside layer of an onion like that. Maybe that's your parentheses. And then the next layer, you have brackets, which will be outside of that. And then you've got braces, which will kind of look something like that. So, um, these grouping symbols will always be used together without one of a pair of grouping symbols kind of inside of them. Here I just said grouping symbols are like layers of an onion, and you consistently start at the center and work your way outwards. So what I mean by the center is if you look at this third example, we've got three pairs of grouping symbols. The center pair of grouping symbols would be the parentheses here, kind of at the middle of the onion. So something like that. And so that's kind of where you would start simplifying this expression. And then you've got the numbers and the mathematical operations within the brackets, here. Here's not writing. So we've got our brackets here and here. And then our braces. Change that to black. Why would you change to black? Okay. And then we've got our braces. Let's see here. Here's one, and here's one. I don't know why my computer's acting up. Okay, there's one, and there's one. And so this would be, the braces are kind of like the outer layer, and the parentheses are the inner layer.